Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about a subject that I kind of touched upon in my last video about gen speeds and stuff like that. And it's the whole concept of DBD being balanced around having gen speed add-ons, or I'm sorry, perks. And that is the reality of the game. Typically, I think everyone would agree to some extent that the game is balanced around having these perks. You know, not saying running 4 slowdowns or anything like that, but to be expected to run a killer without a single slowdown perk, it is significantly harder than it should be, even against teams that are not great, because, you know, sometimes you just get maps that, you know, are laid out in a certain way to where even if you're amazing in the game, it doesn't matter. Like if you get the map, it's one of the maps in the game where your skill as a killer doesn't really matter, and it's problematic. It's kind of like how I compared the game to Spirit, where in both scenarios, like your skill as a player doesn't really matter. You could be the best killer or the best survivor in the world. In both scenarios, you're just kind of like, it doesn't really matter. And those things are problems. But like in those scenarios, if you have no slowdown perks, then you're really in a lot of trouble. And it brings up the whole topic of, well, is this game balanced around having those perks or not? And it is. It definitely is balanced around having those perks. But it's an interesting problem because how do you change that? How do you fix that? Because in theory, if you make gens take longer by whatever way you do, by just simply increasing the time, by making spawns better, or if you just do anything to make the games go longer naturally, that would make it so people would not be reliant on running slowdown perks, right? But then in that scenario, you will have the reality of the situation be everyone will still run the slowdown perks anyway in this new, even easier game for them. And I think that is an unfortunate side effect of the fact that the game is built upon the fact that you should be having slowdown perks. I'm not saying it's impossible to win without them, but it is significantly harder, to the point I think it's fair to say the game is balanced around having them. So how do you fix that? And I had this discussion with my chat yesterday, and I don't really know. Because the only way to really fix it is to completely rework the entire game. And you'd have to rework every game delay perk. You'd have to you'd have to do so much work to do that it's safe to say that will never, ever happen. So that means we have to accept the reality of the game, that it's based on having slowdown perks. And that sort of limits your build options, doesn't it? Because you might say killers only have 3 perks instead of 4 now, because you kind of need that. On the flip side, you can say survivors basically need an exhaustion perk, so they always have 3 perks as well. So it's not like it's unfounded on the other side too. But it is an unfortunate way the game is built that you have to have these perks, and I can't really think of a good way to solve it. So this is more of an open discussion video. I'm curious what you guys have to actually say in the comments, what you can do to fix this, because short of reworking every game delay perk in the game and then reworking the actual base gen times, you can't really change one without the other, because if you change one, people will still run those perks, and then they'll have much longer games. Like we're talking forever Freddy kind of stuff. So that's problematic as well. So basically, I think it's okay that the game is based on having slowdown perks. I just almost wish there was like another perk slot so I could actually do more builds without having to require that. And fuck it, give survivors a free perk slot for an exhaustion perk, since that's basically the game's built around having those too. Like, I would be okay with that. I think it would open up a lot more build opportunities and make things interesting. But yeah, I'm just curious what you guys have to say about it, because it's a pretty hard problem to fix, and I thought it's an interesting discussion to have. So that's it. See ya.